Hello, and welcome to Rocket Fuel, your daily update of everything that's happening in the Rocket Pool community. My name is Wack. Today is February 5th, and we've got a jam-packed episode for you with information about our PIP64 vote. We're going to talk about Star Initiative officially launching. We're going to be talking about community discussion about the Rocket Pool team and their level of presence in the community. We're going to be talking about a new layer 2 that uses rETH as its foundational currency, and Cyfrin Updraft working with Rocket Pool, so many things. So let's get started.
10, 9, ignition sequence start, 6.
Okay, so we are going to start here with this protocol update from Mav. And Mav says it's basically announcing the RPIP64 vote, like the official announcement of it. And he says, hey everyone, it's time to check out the new snapshot user interface and have your say regarding the future of Rocket Pool's on-chain DAO governance. And then there's a link to the vote. He says this vote is to reduce the on-chain proposal quorum from 30% to 15% following the successful initialization of all node operators. It will also reduce the veto quorum safeguard from 51% to 20%. And then he says you can read more about the rationale behind these changes on RPIP64 in the RPIP document where you can read the text. Now, we've already gone through the text of RPIP64 a whole bunch of times, so we're not going to do that again. But we can actually look at the vote over here, which we already had a look at a couple of days ago. But the vote now is 9,600 votes in favor of this, which is just under 99%, and 100 votes against this, and that is around 1%. So we're still not at quorum yet. We're at 70% of quorum nearly. So we need another, 5,000 votes or so to get onto quorum. But we've made decent progress, and I'm not too worried about hitting quorum. Patches says he'll vote on Friday when he gets back home from his travels, so hopefully that will put us, significantly closer to quorum, and then it's just a matter of getting over that last little hurdle. This new snapshot interface is actually kind of tricky. I wasn't sure what everything was, but on the top over here, you can see the votes tab right at the top, and it kind of brings in the information about everyone who voted, what their vote power is, and if they have any reasons for voting the way they did. So I said, this is amazing work by Hululo to get everything done and out. Val says this brings the quorum to what it should be. Veto quorum is reasonably selected. And then the one negative person here says that this proposal should be voted on by as large percentage as practicable of the stakeholders. Otherwise, many poorly designed proposals can pass because the threshold for approving a proposal will now be reduced. Then there were some other comments as well about there potentially being a cap in the future for total delegates. Power to prevent super voters. It should be more rigid structures to vote delegation that incentivizes governance participation and prevents disingenuous voting behavior, i.e. minority voting as a platform to discuss off-topic opinions. And then this person was discussing an off-topic opinion, talking about the RPL price action, how they're not happy with that, and how it's a trap. So yeah, the new interface, if you want to play around with it, you can just have a look, and it actually integrates the forum here as well, which is really nice. You can actually see the posts that were made on the forum right here at the top in the discussion tab, and all the different people that kind of commented on that and gave feedback on that and were involved in that decision-making process. So that is actually really, really awesome. So I like that very much. Once you kind of get a hang of it, I still need to figure out how to use dark mode, but I'll figure that out later. And then we kind of talked about that person voting the way they did, the person who voted against it in the Discord today. And I said, do we have any idea why? Because at that time I couldn't find their reasoning. And Val was able to find it and show me how to do that. And I said, I was trying to figure out if the person was a big delegate and they're not a big delegate. And then I said, is it just me, or does it read like that person doesn't fully understand how the voting threshold in the Rocket Pool work? And Mav gave me many such cases emoji there. Val says potentially, or they just think that the on-chain should have a higher threshold than Snapshot. And I said our thresholds for quorum are already so high compared to other protocols. And then I said by increasing thresholds, the not hitting of quorum becomes much more likely. And there's not been too many votes where we've had that risk by the end of the voting period, but by increasing thresholds, you kind of would hit up against that. Ishka here actually had a really good point. He says it's not intuitive to know about what the percentages are set to. He says the setting is being lowered, but the initialized power has increased, so the active share actually required is similar. So that is a nice piece of information to know there. So yeah, thanks guys for helping me understand the new dashboard and also to kind of talk through the rationale of this vote. Okay, let's get some news now. And in news here, we have the launch of the STAR initiative, the STAR program. This is the program that was the number one rETH, suggestion in the growth incubator. And the way that this works is basically you have people reaching out to different communities, different groups, different people who have large amounts of ETH and try to convince them to use that ETH to mint rETH. So Signal XU was the person who was hired by the GMC to be the overseer of this program, and they have officially launched the STAR program now. And here, this says there's a couple of different Notion documents that you can have a look at to see what's going on there. And then if you have ideas, feedback, and questions, there is a STAR program kickoff document on the forum. So let's actually start with that first and then have a look at the Notion pages. So if you want, it has all the information about what the STAR program is and, the different ways that you can contribute and stuff. No one has replied to this yet, but I presume that, this will start getting more active and hopefully we can get a nice bunch of community members kind of working towards this together. Here's the Notion page for the guidelines and for one of the other sections. But yeah, you can have a look here. It says the STAR program is designed as a business-to-business focused growth initiative aimed at onboarding large ETH holding organizations to adopt rETH. It targets institutional protocols, DAOs, and foundations, engaging directly with these entities to incentivize and facilitate large-scale ETH minting. So then there's ways to understand the onboarding and the program success. And then a success story here, there's a link. It says rETH is the most decentralized liquid staking token, has been adopted as treasury ETH staking option by the following protocols and organizations, and it just mentions Aave DAO there. It should also mention Nexus Mutual, but I don't know if they put out any tweets or anything about that. But then a contribution guide here, you can say the STAR program is not live. We don't yet have a formal case, so if you notice any missing or complete information on Notion-based guidelines, feel free to leave a comment. Permissions have already been granted. And how to contribute if you're interested in participating in the STAR program and helping Rocket Pool to pitch our DAOs or institutional program protocols. If you have potential leads to submit, you can do so by selecting the application option and submitting your details. Incentive distribution, it says incentives are distributed on a monthly basis. To qualify, contributions must be submitted by the Rocket Pool forum, where the GMC will review and decide on rewards accordingly. Thank you for your contributions. And then here there's some other information that Signal XU wants to do. So things like add leads, social media promotion, and then that stuff that hasn't been started yet. And then in progress, our contribution guide, walk through the Arbitrum application process as a demo, a pitch deck as well. And then there's the section that's down is the form. So let's actually have a look at the application. So it says who can participate. So it says getting participation. We welcome participation from the following groups. So organizations applying to mint rETH, Rocket Pool community members submitting leads, and BD partners seeking collaboration. Then benefits of participation. So for organizations applying to mint rETH, gain access to secure decentralized staking solution with enhanced liquidity and yield optimization. For community members, earn recognition and potential incentives for contributing valuable leads that drive ecosystem growth. For BD partners seeking collaboration, expand professional networks, collaborate with industry-leading organizations, and participate in potential revenue sharing opportunities. And then for information on how to apply, it says we've created dedicated questionnaires for each participant. Type to ensure a smooth onboarding process. If you're interested in joining, please select the appropriate forms below and then there's 3 different kind of forms for each of those people. So if you're an organization wanting to mint rETH, you can fill out a form. If you are a Rocket Pool community member who wants to like chase up leads, there's a form. And if you're a BD partner or agency seeking collaboration, then there's a form for that as well. So this is really awesome. I'm really expecting this to, gain momentum in the coming days and weeks. It might look like it's slow right now, but this is the process of just getting that boulder moving, at the top of the hill. It requires a lot of energy and push, and the GMC has been doing a lot of that. And now with hiring Signal XU, hopefully, it's just more hands on that boulder, giving it a push. And I really do believe that once it starts getting rolling, it's just going to gain more and more momentum, and then do really wonderful things. So my expectations and hopes of this are quite high. I know that normally when I have high hopes and expectations for something, they don't always work out the way that I wanted them to. But hopefully this one works out well. So let's see. Okay. Today in the Rocket Pool community, there was a lot of people kind of venting and talking about the protocol and, what has gone right with it, what has gone wrong with it. There was a lot of negative sentiment, in other places, in other social media, like on Reddit, people talking about Rocket Pool. Even in the vote, that person voted for the RPIP64, but then was in their comment left a note saying that the RPL token is a scam, etc. Anyway, Dr. Doofus here comment saying that the Rocket Pool is not a rug, but because obviously the protocol is developing and doing work, and it's still there, but maybe it can be called a bear skin when something is not meant to be a rug but can end up serving the same purpose. So that was just joking. And it says with the bear skin, they're still trying to keep up the appearance of being good guys. Anyway, Ramana here then makes a point of saying that the fact that the team is never here and never says anything about anything really doesn't help. It's like being ghosted. And then Dr. Rufus says having Dave not around has definitely not been good for the community. So Dave, of course, is the founder of Rocket Pool, and he used to be really active in the community like a few years ago. And then as time's gone by, he is less and less active. In fact, I just kind of want to do a search. Let me see if... while I'm here with you guys, if I can do a search for when the last time Dave actually left a comment. So from Darcius, let's see when the last time there was a comment. So yeah, the last time there was a comment in anywhere in the Rocket Pool Discord from Dave was in June. So it's been like over 6 months, and the time before that was in May. And there were a couple of comments back and forth in May, and that was in his argument with Noshua that we talked about on Rocket Fuel before, and before that, it was in February, so 3 months, and then before that was like a couple of days earlier in January, and then. Sorry, I'm doing this like live on air, so it might be a little bit clunky. Then January he was back and forth for quite a while there. So that was in January 30th, January 31st, February 2nd, January 18th, and then the time before that was December. So basically in all of 2024, Dave has, been in the Discord on about 5, I think, different occasions, middle of January, end of January. Maybe you could count that 3-day period as 1 if you don't want to be generous. If you do want to be generous, then you can count it as 3 instances, so that's 4. And then the argument with Noshua, 5. And then the announcements, in June. The announcements in June, and then that's it pretty much. So yeah, it's just 5 or 6 different instances that Dave's been talking in the Rocket Pool Discord, and the last time was over 6 months ago now. So I feel like that's a missing piece. Dave's the founder. Of course, Dave has handed off duties to Langas. I guess the day-to-day operation of Rocket Pool is on Langas now, and Langas is the general manager. Langas, I'm not going to count Langas' interactions because Langas has been around more than that. However, most of the times Langers is around is in like the governance threads and like, doing stuff with payments, etc. And, to the committees and getting all that kind of stuff sorted out. I think and of course, that's not to say that Langers isn't involved in like the chit chats and like, the community calls and stuff. But I think what people want really is just for the team to be more present in the Discord. Like, Joe, when he worked with Rocket Pool before he moved on to NodeSet, I felt like was a really nice conduit between the team and the community. And I think it's different from having like a community manager where Mav, does a great job of passing information along to the team. When something comes up, I know that in stand-ups he makes notes. He says, "This is what the community is feeling. This is what they're saying. This is what they're doing." I'm passing that along to the team, which is really good. But I think what we want is just people to shitpost more. Like pop in, like seeing those orange names in the Discord is really good. And I feel like sometimes we can go days without seeing any. Now, in this thread, and like when people were talking, they were saying like even Fornax used to be much more active in the community, and then he got the job with the team and is now less active in the community, but he has a job, right? So that kind of makes sense. But there's certain people that we almost never hear from. Like Kane is around sometimes to shitpost, which is really nice when he is. The last time that I really remember, like him being around for a while and kind of being excited and sharing information with the community or just talking to the community was when we had that pump of price when RPL went to just under $20, and everyone was kind of excited for that one evening. It was really really nice to have Kane in trading and just kind of like just talking shit, like we were joking about RPL cooking and like crypto hopefully bouncing out of like the slumps. Sadly, of course, that wasn't that was short lived, but it was really nice that he was there. And I'm not trying to call out team members. I'm not trying to put undue pressure on them or anything like that. But I just feel like they're team members that the community has no relationship with whatsoever. And we did have that with Joe before, but as time's gone on, we have that less and less. Like through governance, we have that with Langers, and with events and things like that. We kind of have that a little bit with Mav, but people like Grant and Nick. We almost never hear from them. And Nick is sometimes present, of course, in the website feedback thread where the front end like stuff needs fixing or changing or suggestions or mistakes and that kind of stuff. Like he responds in there, but we almost never hear from any of the team. Like it's just and Thomas T-Pan sometimes like comes and drops a comment here and there as well, but like even that's not that much. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that having team members just like coming in and like shit posting for a few minutes a day would, I think, do so much for morale increase, even if they're not doing what Joe used to do, which was like give updates of what he's working on and like what he's spending time on and that kind of stuff amongst the shit posting. Like I loved that about Joe. I used to feature Joe's comments on Rocket Fuel like at least a few times a week, because he was always dropping comments of what he was working on, and that was really really good to just kind of share and disseminate with the community. But we don't have anything like that right now. Like what we do have is the bi-weekly update, and it says there's like an R&D section and some of the discussions that are happening or some of the research that's being done. Like we get some tidbits there, and also of course the community call where hopefully that is going to get better, like after some of the recent feedback that we've given to the team from the community. I think that will get better as well, but like even if it's just like a few minutes a day, if each team member just like literally has 20 minutes they put on their schedule of just going and shit posting in Discord, like I think that would be so valuable for the whole community. I really hope that the team kind of does that. So in this discussion, like we kind of went back and forth for quite a while, and just as I say that, Mav popped in, like we were saying like, where's Dave? And he said, oh, he was on stand up this morning. And that's the team internal meeting where they kind of share everything that's working on and how it's all going, and we're like that doesn't help us, like, and Ramana says the community wouldn't have known that if you hadn't told us, right? So what's really interesting here is that recently I feel like so many of the complaints that we have with Rocket Pool as a community are the ones that people have with Ethereum, like as a whole, and the ETH Foundation. Like I feel like the symmetry between the criticism that people have with Rocket Pool and the symmetry, for the Ethereum Foundation and ETH price, I think it's linked to price somewhat. Langas actually had a really interesting comment a few weeks ago, right, saying that when the price is doing well, the community wants the protocol to decentralize more and kind of minimize the team more. And when the price is doing badly, then everyone wants the team to kind of take over and be leaders. And I think that's a really interesting perspective. And I think to some extent that is true, right? We want to turn to the people in the community who we see as leaders and the ones that we see as people of influence, the kind of reassure us and kind of guide us. And I made a comment here that I says, I wish Dave was in trading more, but as I've explained just now, that I wish everyone was trading more, the whole team was in trading more or in the Discord more and just kind of shooting the shit. But I says, Vitalik basically recently, with all this EF drama and even just for the last few months, it's been getting more and more, with the bullish on ETH, like a meme that he put out there, the ticker is ETH meme that he kind of put out there as well. But recently, definitely, with this EF drama, he's been very front and center. In fact, like Vitalik has, climbed the Kaito leaderboards and oftentimes is like number one or in the top 5 at least of people whose ideas and thoughts are getting engagement on Twitter and crypto Twitter these last few weeks, which is amazing. So I said here, if Vitalik can go on Twitter more, Dave and Langas can come here more. Joe used to be the bridge between the team and the community for a couple of years there, but we don't have that at all now. The team is kind of a black box with an occasional peak here and there. I said, honestly, Dave and Langas need to be here every day, even if it's just to shoot the shit. And I think especially to shoot the shit. They don't have to give us updates that they're not comfortable sharing, but just popping into trading and just being like, hey guys, how are you all doing? This is what's going on with me. Today my team lost or today, there was this really cool sunset at the beach. People in trading literally talk about nothing, just get involved in some jokes about LFO's mum or tease, some community members or whatever that. I feel like that is so missing right now in the protocol and in the team. And I think that would be so incredibly valuable. So I know Langas watches, I know some of the team members watch. Please take this information on board. And like I said, it doesn't have to be a big commitment. It could literally just be 2, 5 or 10 minute pop-ins a day and just be hi and just say something or just respond to some conversation that's already ongoing or jump on board the LFO's mom joke or shrimp joke or whatever's going on at that time. And I just think that seeing those orange names in the Discord, I think would be something to reassure people. And I know that it can get grating, I know that it can get overwhelming, I know that it's the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. People's criticism and comments that just unending. But I think it's really important that you guys kind of take this to heart and try to make changes in how you interact with the community. And it doesn't have to be we are the core devs kind of thing. It could literally just be we are also node operators, we are also RPL holders, we are also rETH holders. You don't have to do it as we are the team and we are different removed from you guys. I know that it's really hard to shed that kind of thing, but with Joe, it really was the case that we saw Joe as a community member, and he was a community member first, right, before he got hired by the team. And I think that is something that is he held on to really well. But I really think that it can be the same thing for all of the team members, especially those who are kind of who we know quite well. And I'm talking about Mav and Langas here, and Dave used to be that. And I really feel with the others, it'd be really great if we kind of built those relationships. And seriously, shit posting and trading just a few times a day goes so far towards doing that, that I think it's a really, really easy win. And I really wish that the team members would think seriously about, even doing it during work hours and setting aside 2 10-minute blocks or 3 5-minute blocks of whatever they want, just jump into trading and just shoot shit And that in itself, for a few weeks might be rough as people kind of like point questions or ask about tokenomics or the RPL price or whatever bullshit, they might do. But as those orange names get more and more familiar and more present, hopefully, it'll just be the sign of a strengthening relationship between the community and the team. I know that, we see the same community members every day, myself, Ramana, Valdorf, Halulo, Patches, like these are people who are in Discord every day, Jasper, etc. But I think like, having the team in there would really, really, really help community morale. Because like, frankly speaking, it is absolutely dog shit. Like the morale is in the toilet. So morale is some of the worst I've ever seen, in my time in the community. And yes, I know that, that is due to price, but I think, having just looking at Vitalik, right? Like just Vitalik turning up on Twitter, like putting out a few tweets a day, making a few replies a day, making a few shit posts a day, like that has helped people so much, for on the Ethereum front. And I think that it would be absolutely the same for the team. So this conversation kind of went on for about half an hour or 45 minutes, and it was kind of like sprawling, but this is something that we all want. Even Cyfrin here says we need better representation or presentation from the team to boost morale, but even if it's just a couple of messages a day. So there are a lot of people in the community who really want to see this happen, and here, like, Bossy saying it's too late, but I don't think it's too late. It just to show that people give a shit. And I know that they give a shit because when I've talked to Langers and other team members, like, in GMC calls or even during the community calls, I know these guys give a shit. I really do know that, and I can vouch for that. But sadly, other people in the community don't see that. So it's time to kind of show those people that. Anyway, I've been talking about that for quite a long time. So thanks for everyone who kept up with that. But let's talk about other things now. Okay, this is quite exciting, but like, let's see what comes with it. So OpenZK is a new L2 that is starting on Ethereum. I don't know much about this, so please do your own research. They call themselves the first L2 solution on ZK rollup technology to unite native ETH staking, liquidity staking, and stablecoin staking in one seamless platform. So the way, I don't know much about this, so I'm just kind of like speculating here. But what they're saying is that they are using rETH into the foundation of their L2, and this is the OpenZK network is the first L2 that combines ZK rollups with ETH staking, lower fees, faster transaction speeds, and earn rewards in your bridged assets. The zero compromise layer 2 is here. So a couple of points. There are a couple of different L2s that have suggested this idea of swapping your assets behind the scenes for some kind of staking token. Blast did this, swapping their ETH deposits into Lido's STETH. I think another couple of them have either started doing this or have talked about doing this. I know that Polygon kind of talked about putting their ETH into Morpho, which was very controversial because people didn't sign up from that in the beginning. ZK, this OpenZK is the first one that is using rETH, and that is absolutely incredible. Like, it just makes sense. Like, you choose the most decentralized, the most battle-tested LSTs there are, and rETH ranks really, really highly on all of those things. So for them choosing rETH is really great here. Now, the second part of this is, I've never heard of this L2 before, and we are living in a roll-up centric roadmap where we think there's going to be hundreds of L2s eventually, and that's awesome. So kudos to OpenZK here. The thing is, like, just be aware that there might be risks. I don't know if they are stage 1 roll-up yet. I don't think they will be, maybe because it's not often the case that the protocols launch at stage 1, definitely not stage 2, but I'm not sure what the details here are of OpenZK. One thing that's really interesting here is that if this protocol gains traction, which again is another very big maybe, because it's so hard to get TVL as an L2, like it's really, really difficult to get people using your chain. Even some of the really well-established ones like ZK Sync, only have tens of transactions per second on a good day, and most days they've got only single digit transactions per second, and that's like one of the biggest L2s there is, in terms of bridged assets and stuff. So the newer ones really struggle to get adoption. So I don't know what kind of adoption OpenZK will get, but what's really good here is that they will be minting rETH. Hopefully, I don't know the full mechanisms of how they'll be doing it, but they'll be minting rETH as people send over ETH. They'll mint rETH with that, get yield. I'm sure they'll share that with the people who deposit and take some for themselves. Hopefully, this kicks off in a really big way and it becomes a really good avenue for rETH minting happen. Like, we desperately need that demand. Even a few $1 million worth would be fantastic, and that is quite a low amount of TVL. So if they play the incentives game right, if they get things lined up well, then hopefully we could see some millions of dollars worth of rETH demand coming from here, which will be a huge help right now. Hopefully it'll be even bigger than that, into the billions of dollars. That a man can dream. But I think this sets the idea for other L2s as well that are launching, that they could do something similar. And you definitely want rETH for that. Yeah. So just in the comments here, there's people asking about how they can participate, any airdrop info, anything like that. Like I said, I have no partnership with OpenZK. I hadn't even heard of them until I saw this post. So keep that in mind. But hopefully, the potentially good things could come from this. Okay, another thing that could have good things leading to Rocket Pool is this Cyfrin Updraft partnership with Rocket Pool. For those of you who don't know, Cyfrin Updraft is like a very well-established education hub for Ethereum, and they call themselves they're teaching the next generation of Web3 developers. They have hundreds of hours of smart contract development and security courses that are all available completely for free. And like, they are now doing a module with Rocket Pool. So here in their tweet, they say, together with Rocket Pool, Cyfrin and Updraft certifications set the new standard in developer education. Rocket Pool is a pioneer of ETH staking, making it more accessible and scalable. We're collaborating to increase security by enabling developers to verify their skills. So with the Rocket Pool, what they're going to do is share a common mission of decentralizing and securing Ethereum through education and innovation, and empowering developers to build securely and enable people to participate through permissionless infrastructure. So how they're working on this is they're working on a module to deeply integrate Rocket Pool into Updraft education, ensure developers have the skills, certification, knowledge to build on Rocket Pool's technology, accelerate Ethereum's long-term growth, and expand Ethereum staking network. And then they've got select members of Rocket Pool communities and builders are eligible to receive 20% subsidy of the cost of any certification exam. So what happens is the classes are all for free, but if you want to take the exam, then you can get a discount on the exam fees. And it says our goal is to lower the barriers of participation and encourage more developers to gain formal recognition in their skills. And then they say we're excited to work with Rocket Pool to deliver proof of expertise to developer community, enabling them to grow the ecosystem while increasing user safety, secure your future, certify your knowledge. And then there's information on where you can get the certificate. So this course is in the final stages of its development, and it should be launching soon. So you'll be able to get the full details from Cyfrin. And the idea is that this is really high quality engagement of developers who will want to learn these skills and then integrate rETH into their DeFi products and into their services that they offer. That's the hope. And this is by the way, this is funded by the GMC, and their grant was approved. So I'm really hoping for some high level engagement and outcomes from this. Okay, let's go back to the Discord here, and there was really interesting discussion that took place this morning that I wanted to bring up for you guys. Here, Drizzle was kind of playing around with some math, trying to figure out what each unit of RPL staking will earn for you after Saturn 1 and 2. So here he tagged Hululo, says, and everyone else that can correct my math regarding Saturn 1. So he says, assuming that there's 800 ETH staked, which is 4 ETH average per node operator, and then there's 11 million RPL staked, he says the ratio for that will then be 0.0023, which is what the ratio is right now. And he says if there's a 5% node operator share and 9% voter share, then he kind of puts together these numbers, and he basically worked out that for staking each unit of RPL, you will earn 2.5 times solo staker APR in ETH terms as reward. So, if you stake 1 ETH, you get 1 times rewards in ETH for staking rewards. So that's about 3%, let's just say. However, for each unit of RPL you stake, you will get around 7.5% of ETH rewards right now. So, yeah. That's really interesting. Now, there were some problems with Drezel's math, and there were some mistakes that Drezel made. So people here, like, Halulu and others kind of started correcting it. And Drezel worked out that the Halulu actually it says, so right now, the way things stand, it would be around 1.95 times solo staking rewards. So for every ETH of RPL that you had staked, you would be getting nearly 2 times the ETH rewards as you would get from solo staking that ETH as having it as ETH. So it's kind of complicated right now. So let me try to explain it as simply as I can. So imagine you have some ETH, right? And you want to stake it. Let's just say you have 1 ETH, you deposit that and you stake it and you're getting solo staker rewards. That works out to be around 3% returns, for example. Now, if you have that same 1 ETH and you're already a Rocket Pool node operator, if you swap that ETH to RPL and you stake it as RPL, you would get 2 times solo staker rewards as ETH. So it'll be about 6% APY. Now, of course, the numbers here have a lot of assumptions, like, how much our ETH is staked, how much ETH is staked, what the ratio is. All of these kind of things kind of go together to give you this number. But what's really interesting is that, the market will actually be able to find a price at which is happy with RPL and what it thinks is the right amount of ETH staking rewards it should get. So if that number is really high, then people will be like, hey, we want this. And then they will stake the RPL or they'll buy RPL to stake it. And then as more people stake it, the number will get lower, at which point they will like unstake it and try to sell it maybe or do whatever they want with it. But it's actually going to be really interesting that you could work out this amount of rewards that you will earn in ETH with the RPL that you're staking. So here, Drezel kind of corrected their numbers, saying like 513,000 rETH times the rewards are 0.09, so that works out to be 46,260 ETH solo APR rewarded to RPL stakers, and that's 10,400,000 RPL staked, which is worth 23,920. So then that works out basically as 1.93 times solo staking. So Val says, this is some of the spreadsheets already do this to help you work out this number. And the GMC, of course, recently funded a calculator that will help people plug in these different numbers and kind of teach them what the different assumptions are that would end up being an output of that. So you can work it all out yourself. But I thought that this was actually really cool. Val says it's not as easy as putting a 1.93x on a website because there's too many variables that you'd kind of have to work it out. But I really like that this is like a number that people can actually work out, and it might be something that can help set a floor for RPL value and maybe some speculative value on top of that as well. So definitely keep an eye out for that. Okay, and then Ishka says here what you could do is you could stake your desired amount of RPL, and you can make adjustments to that amount based on taper is suboptimal considering ratio of fluctuations. But then Hulu says that just tell everyone to go to 150%, and we can all make money. But that was a bit of a joke there. But it's just you can follow this conversation. It's quite interesting. It was about half an hour or 45 minutes long, and you can kind of see the threads of the argument and a new, hopefully more reliable way of working out RPL value and the yield that I'll have there. Oh yeah, okay. And then there was just some worries here from Sneaky Ninja guy that was like, as the price goes up from people buying it for wanting to stake it, then it could be that other people will be selling into that. So the price impact might not be that much. And here Val was talking about the different issues. So asking for one answer to everything is not going to happen. So like, our ETH revenue, node operators increase the capital efficiency, our ETH, Saturn allows increased APY, but that's not the biggest deal yet. Withdrawal guarantees could potentially be material, and that might be addable to Saturn too. So that is a way of making sure that people can exit their rETH at peg, and the way to do that would be telling the protocol that, hey, we want to swap our rETH back into ETH, and then the protocol goes and exits validators to make that ETH available, and then that person can just withdraw their ETH at peg the way they're supposed to, and that mechanism would be really good at getting their rewards back. And yeah, that was that discussion that was ongoing. Okay, let's talk about RPL liquidity on the secondary market. Hodger provides this information every so often, and he provided this information again as of the beginning of February. And he says that the ETH price is $2,771. The RPL price is $6.32, and he says that order books, this comment the liquidity that he's showing comes from all these different sources, and his comments are that the buy orders are even thinner than December 2024. Only approximately 500,000 worth of bids are across the exchanges on the buy side. On the sell side, the USD is thinner, but that could be due to the ETH price that has dropped down to like new lows recently. So if you look at the chart, it looks really scary, that it shows that there's only around $500,000 worth of RPL that could be sold before the price hits zero on the DEX. So this is one of those things that we have seen that slippage is quite significant. But you can get deals like sells through around 1% slippage if you are selling around 1 to 3,000 RPL at a time. Once you start selling more amounts than that, then the slippage gets more present. However, what's happening is I think there's a lot of off-chain liquidity that people can then try to arbitrage and reconcile across the different venues, and that's something that is kind of not shown in this chart. But yeah, that chart looks scary. RPL is scarily close to zero on this. I don't think it will hit zero. Hopefully not. But yeah, that's something to keep in mind, especially if you're looking to sell RPL right now and trying to minimize slippage. The way to do that would be to do trades of 1,000 RPL or maybe up to 3,000 RPL every few hours, as liquidity can balance out across all these different, it can be arbitraged across all these different venues, and you can get the best rate, I think, that way. Okay, so Sleety was in the Discord today talking about the token motion subscription. That's going to be approved on February 15th. That's when the challenge period will end. So he says, from that day, I will work on whatever the designs the community wants, and that are deemed the highest priority from all the community submissions. He says he can't wait to get started. And he says he will design, animate, meme, whatever needs to be done, and deliver the files to the community, and the GMC can distribute the content however they see fit. So, he says that these are some of the things that he can do. So for graphics, he can make social media graphics, marketing things, make announcement looks really good. He can create presentations, he can make memes and print media if we need that. For infographics, he can make charts and figures, data visualizations, diagrams and flow charts, pitch decks, charts and figures. For animations, he can make explainer content, product demos, onboarding, tweet threads, GIFs, advertising. And for web and brand, he can do logo designs, user interface designs, webflow designs, brand identity, brand style guides, etc. as well. So I think this again is one of those areas where initially it might be a little bit slow getting Sleety started, although we at the GMC with Star Initiative, I think there'll be a lot of work happening through there, and the team will probably already will have work for Sleety as well. And then slowly the community can kind of get involved, and if we have ideas for memes, etc., there might be a nice way to get those to Sleety to make those as well, and then people can share them. I imagine that myself and Jasper will be asking Sleety to make images and infographics, etc., for when we want to do tweet threads. I expect that there'll be something that I'll want to write up for when the Saturn 1 DevNet 1 goes live, hopefully within the next couple of days, and well, Sleety hasn't been hired yet, so maybe for the next one, I can reach out to Sleety. But he already started working on a new community calls template, and this is Getting Loser. It's a Rocket Pool community call featuring Ken. This is like really funny little thing that he just threw together. And he says, next request, please. And Marv replied by saying it's art. Like, for those of you who are listening and not watching, it is like a kind of like a little joke here, like a very 90s retro style, like quickly thrown together with word art stuff, and a GeoCities inspired little featuring Ken in bright neon green writing at the bottom. So yeah. Okay, let's talk about xrETH and that being off peg as well. So earlier today, a person used the LSD price command, and it showed that xrETH was at a 2.2% discount on the secondary market. Ramana said everyone hates LSTs, and the xrETH in the DPEG was quite big. And people like, what's going on with xrETH? Like, why is it such a big discount? And is it a lack of liquidity? And then there was talk about, why that's there. And let me actually see if I have the right link open. I don't think I do. Maybe this one's the right one. Oh yeah, okay. So people also on Twitter, Reddit was saying that Richard G says, kind of annoying. I have xrETH that was said to have DeFi options back in November, but it's still radio silence. I asked to either let us unstake or allow DeFi, and I feel like a hostage not being able to do anything with my ETH. They reply, this is a Rocket Pool issue. Honestly, done with Rocket Pool if they can't solve this. So people just like, wait, why is this a Rocket Pool issue? What's going on? Is this about the team? Dr. Doofus says the implication is that they need to get more rETH minted. But Valdov says that, additional discount on xrETH is definitely not a Rocket Pool issue. He says, in fact, NodeSet, when they have oversupply, helps increase the current Rocket Pool issue. And then Brent said that NodeSet should use a Rocket Arb to exit. So I don't know if they have their exit mechanism set up. They don't have any interest in Rocket Arb. So iStake.eth forwarded a message from NodeSet saying that they have zero interest in using Rocket Arb. I think Nick was saying that we'll address this issue. We never blamed liquidity on Rocket Pool, just says we can't grow without Rocket Pool demand. So I think there's a couple of different things that kind of got mixed up here. One was NodeSet growth and like more validators coming online, and that can't happen without there being more rETH demand. And then the second issue is like, uses for xrETH. It looks like that is on Gravita, not being able to find partnerships or get rETH in different protocols, and then I guess NodeSet need to make the rails for getting our xrETH out at peg, and that would, like the mechanisms I was describing for rETH earlier, that would be a person going to NodeSet, going to Gravita, I guess, and saying, hey, we want our xrETH back at peg, and then they would exit certain validators, which people already know that could happen. NodeSet node operators already know that validators could be exited, and then they would say we want you to exit, and then they would exit, and people would get their xrETH back at peg. So as I get more information about that, I'll definitely let you know. But later when I looked at it, it looked like they were back closer to peg. In the beginning it was around 2% off peg, but then I saw LSD later. And actually, let's go have a look right now and see what the latest numbers are when someone called it. So it's at 1.17% off peg. So yeah. Okay, yeah, and then that was just that same discussion that we kind of covered. Okay, so in Ethereum news today, we actually did go back above the ultrasound barrier since the merge, and now we have inflated 1,593 ETH over the course of 2 years, 144 days since the merge. So ETH is now technically not ultrasound since the merge happened. a lot of Bitcoiners have kind of been using this to say, ha ha ha, like you guys, said that ETH was deflationary, but look, you're not deflationary anymore. Some people have been pointing out that if you compare that to BTC over the time, ETH has inflated by 0.001% in that 2.5 years. However, BTC has inflated by 1.43%, which accounts to 656,000 BTC in that time. That only 1,694 ETH has been inflated in that time. So that just gives you an idea of the different mindset. The reason why I'm covering this is because Justin Drake had a very interesting post out today about the bat signal. So the bat signal was to show, ETH being ultrasound money. So he says that I've removed the bat signal from my name, but I'll add it again when ETH is ultrasound, and that'll happen soon enough. So he says that, ETH is growing at around 0.5% a year. That's 1% a year of issuance minus around 0.5% of burn. To become ultrasound again, either issuance has to decrease or the burn has to increase. He says, I think both will happen. Let me explain. So first of all, he kind of explains ETH versus BTC and how the BTC issuance is not sustainable because their income from fees is so low. However, the ETH issuance and burn is sustainable, but it can get even better. And then he goes on to talk about ETH issuance, and he says that the issuance right now, if 100% of ETH was staked, it would be about 2% in rewards, which is, over 2 million ETH a year. He says that this number needs to come down, and he presents something called croissant chart. This is just like throwing ideas out there, I think, but this is kind of what he's saying. This is his suggestion. So he says that target should be 1% a year at peak issuance, which is 25% staked. And as you get higher than that, then you should get less in terms of rewards. This, of course, has the issue of basically kicking off home stakers off the network, which is a criticism of croissant staking and these kind of yields. And I think it's going to be a very controversial discussion. Like, the Ethereum Foundation's kind of been floating these ideas of changing the issuance curve quite a few times. But what would happen is that, it would centralize stake with people who could optimize for MEV extraction, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that would not be good. And then the ETH burn, this is actually really interesting as well. Here he says that the best way to get burning going will be through data availability. And he says it's much more lucrative to have 10 million transactions per second, with each paying, $0.001. So, a tenth of a cent for data availability, than it is to have 100 transactions per second paying $100 per transaction. So it's just a complete skewing of the metrics, like the having much more throughput, of paying much less is much better, to have the same consequence of much less throughput, but also much higher fees. So he says we're going to play cat and mouse with the burning of data fees and the expansion of data, such that we will increase the threshold, and it'll take a while to hit that threshold again, and then burning will start, and then we'll increase the threshold again, and then we'll hit that threshold, and burning will start. So he says this will happen over the course of years, and he thinks that we're going to be burning millions of dollars a day worth of. He says, I wouldn't be surprised if this year we see hundreds of ETH per day of block burn, and then that burn suddenly collapsing again with pure DAS in the Fusaka fork, for example. So that's really interesting. So he says that, Ethereum's here to build out infrastructure for decades and centuries, and we're going to play out the fundamentals over that time. Whether, it's the best way to secure Ethereum compared to Bitcoin, the best way to have issuance, for staking rewards, and the best way to manage the burn. And that's, of course, through the different ways of transaction fees and those things being burned. So that was a very interesting perspective. However, there was some support for this. There was some pushback for this. I recommend you going and have a looking at the comments. The Bitcoiners were pointing out that even though ETH was deflationary for 2 years, it suffered so much on the ratio against BTC compared to when it was launched. And here Udi, who's a Bitcoiner, says ETH BTC is now lower than it was years ago when you first introduced your Ponzinomics reforms that turned Ethereum into a rebase coin. You probably damaged Ethereum more than any other person on the planet, all for a quick pump and dump. And then he goes on to say, the fact that you still think anyone would take your Bitcoin concern trolling seriously is laughable. And he says, Opcat will kill Ethereum once and for all. So Opcat, yeah, but that's the whole different discussion. But like I said, some people are supportive of this. For example, Anthony Sisano says it's utterly insane to me that Bitcoiners still don't see the obvious catastrophe that's headed their way, or they see it and choose to bury their head there in the sand, something that they're extremely good at doing, to be fair. So this is definitely like quite a spicy comment section, so you can go ahead and read that at your own choosing. People in the rocket pool community got talking about this, about the supply being the issuance curve especially, and how that might impact rocket pool. And he says Justin Drake wants the cross on issuance and then the face palm emoji, and basically the idea is that it will be kicking off home stakers from the network. And then Halulu kind of said a lot of the researchers at Ethereum think that Ethereum is overpaying for security and staking more than necessary to secure the network, but that should not be profitable in the way that it is. Another big concern is that LST is effectively replacing ETH for everything, and that can have governance issues and other issues related to that as well. And yeah, I don't know what this is supposed to be. So let's just end that discussion there. And then the episode there as well. This has been a really long one, like a really, really long one, but there was a whole lot to talk about today. So thank you all for watching, listening, and being part of the Rocket Fuel community. I hope you all enjoyed that episode. Please leave your comments. I'd love to get into discussions with this about anything that I've covered. Whether that's on Discord or on the YouTube comments or on Twitter, I'd love to hear your feedback. But thanks for watching. I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye.